my name is Jenna, but you guys can call me Jen, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my top 5 Nanowrimo writing tips, or if you will, how to succeed in Nanowrimo as we are getting closer and closer to Nanowrimo. We are officially past the halfway mark of October. I believe when this video goes up, we'll be even closer to halfway down in the last few days of October. We have about 10 days to get fully prepped and ready to go. We're just gonna dive into it because we're just gonna be talking about my tips for success and just how to really enjoy your Nanowrimo experience, because Nanowrimo can be a lot and it can be very discouraging if you don't go at it the right way. So first and foremost, what is Nanowrimo? Nanowrimo stands for National Novel Writing Month. Nanowrimo. Nanowrimo. And there are like there's the website for Nano and stuff like that. I don't think I'm gonna be following the website this year because I have slightly different plans for Nano that I'll discuss at the end of this video. There is the Nano community that you can find online. There's always different, sprints and stuff on YouTube. There's tons of resources for yourselves. But here are my 5 tips for really succeeding in your Nanowrimo endeavors. So number 1, and this is like my biggest tip for really any writing experiment or endeavor or whatever you're going to be doing, is set yourself up for success. Now, I know this might be hard to do if you are a pantser, if you just fly by the seat of your pants and see how things are going to go. But when it comes to Nanowrimo, you need to have a few things in place to really let yourself succeed. And they're just going to be things that you need to put in place. It's going to be up to you to decide what they are to help you with the writing process. So for me, myself setting up for success for a project such as Nanowrimo, or if you guys saw a couple months ago in June, I wrote a 70,000 word novel in 30 days. Ended up being a 60,000 word novel in 25 days, but I digress. I needed to set myself up for success because I did not want to get to a point where I did not know what to write next. In my grand scheme of things, I would say plot your story out, know the beats, know your characters, at least in a very rough form, so that you can start writing and you know what you're aiming toward. Because I always find, and when I was not quite as strong of a plotter as I am now, I would write myself into areas where I was like, I don't even know what's going on next. Where am I gonna go from here? I don't really know. And then I would get into this really slowed down, almost molasses level of momentum. And that's not what you want for Nano, right? Like if you are aiming for the 50,000 words in a month, you don't want to have a slowed down momentum. You want to be able to kill it every day, or at least as much as you can, and keep going. You want to be able to succeed all the way through. So whether that is for yourself to set up enough information for yourself about world building, about the story itself, about your characters, at least for me, if you are not a plotter in any way, if you go at stories with just a pantsing ability and fly by the seat of your pants, please at least know the end of your story. You can find the final image, know where you want your characters to end up at the end of this arc, so that you always have something you are working toward. Because when you get into the middle of this novel, when you get to the middle of this draft, around the 25,000 word mark, not even then, like the 10,000 word mark to like the 30,000 word mark, can be a slog sometimes. When you get into that second act, you don't really know what's going on. Your characters don't really know what's going on. Even if you have plotted it out, it can be a slog. So as long as you have something that you are working toward, life is gonna be so much easier for you, because then you can kind of sit there and go, okay, I know I have to get there. What are some things I can throw in their way, or what are some decisions that they can make that'll, complicate that, and boom, you have a plot, guys. Like, it's as easy as that. So that's my advice. Have an ending for yourself in all of this craziness, at least for, basic things. Know your characters, know their goals and stuff like that. What this story is about, sort of, kind of have all these theme and motifs, like know what you're doing before you go into it. Have it all planned out as much as you can beforehand to set yourself up for success. For me, I plan it out as detailed as scene by scene by scene by scene. I have not yet done that for my Nano project, but I have so far done a plot arc at least. I was doing it the other day on my writing stream that I have, and I basically just sat with my notebook and I went, all right, how does this story start? Different scenes that are going through, and I got to a point where I kind of told myself, I was like, okay, I don't really know what's gonna happen after this moment, scene by scene wise, but I know this is the trajectory of the next bit of the story. story, and then I brainstormed some more scenes, and then I was telling myself information, or if I got a dialogue prompt, that kind of a thing. I was telling myself all the way through like different things that are gonna happen. I don't know the entire story yet because I need to sit down and do that myself, but this is what I do personally. I try and write down whatever's in my brain as to how the story arc is gonna go. And then I find myself at the end, and I always like to know the ending before I start writing any story, because as I said, it's nice to have something you're working towards. So yes, set yourself up for success. Find those things that you need whenever you're writing a story, so you know what you're writing, you know who you're writing about, and you can just go at this with all your guns blazing. Number 2 is accountability buddies. I love having accountability buddies. For me, that usually shows itself through my channel, through you guys, or my TikTok, because I am also going to be doing like daily updates like I did when I was doing my 70K and 30-day challenge that I did earlier this year, just to like keep things updated, do little snippets of my writing, share pieces of my writing online, that kind of thing. That's usually what I do. And I know through the Nanowrimo site, there are forums and communities that you can join, and usually there's like local communities that you might be able to set up like writing groups for, where you can meet for coffee one day with all these Nanowrimo people. Or if you're really introverted and you don't want to do that, even just keeping up to date with people or your buddies on the Nano site, then seeing their progress and you're seeing your progress is enough. I also have a couple friends who last year were doing Nanowrimo, and every other day they would kind of chat with each other in our group chat about how they were doing. They would do like word count updates. They would kind of see like what scenes they were in, or if they were having a bad writing day, kind of a thing. And having that kept them pretty motivated. And this year I'm going to be participating, and my friend is also going to be participating. We've already, like, in the group chat, we've been talking about it because she's a little nervous about doing a second draft for Nanowrimo and like doing an editing situation, because it's not the same kind of a vibe of Nano as like completely fast drafting brand new stuff, right? Accountability buddies. Find somebody, or find a space online, or even if you ask your mom and your dad, or you're a parent or guardian or grandparent or somebody, just be like, hey, I'm going to be doing this challenge and I would love to chat with you about it and give you updates every day. Like, let's talk about it over our morning coffee, or print out something in your bullet journal and keep yourself accountable if you want to be your own accountability buddy. It's nice to have something there to keep you going. And that usually motivates me in my own writing to keep going, especially with the online daily updates, because I'm just like, people are expecting me to do these updates, which is not true. Not necessarily true, especially on TikTok. I don't think there's people out there being like, when's Jen's update gonna be there? I don't think that's a thing, but I know people expect like vlogs if I do say that they're gonna be, you know, nano vlogs or whatever, keeping myself accountable. And I don't myself, I really feel I get down on myself for stuff if I don't keep on top of those accountability things, which is not good, and we're going to talk about in point number 4. But I digress. Finding somebody or some kind of a system online or in your personal life to keep you accountable and to keep motivation going, especially in the middle of the month when everyone starts to lose their minds. It's priceless to have something like that, especially if you find an online community. There's so many of us writers, especially YouTubers and author-tubers and stuff like that, that are going to be joining in on this. Seeing other people's progress is like my favorite thing, and I always feel so much more energized to get my writing done when I see other people's like writing updates or their writing vlogs that they've just shared, and they're like talking about how like passionate about their project they are. It does something to me and my creative brain, and it wakes me up a little bit, which I love. Number 3, this kind of leads into that. Basically, how do you find the time and like finding spaces of your day? A lot of what Nanowrimo is to create a habit of writing every day, which I have spoken about before on my channel about how detrimental this can be for your productivity and for your writing. But it's also good to set up habits for your writing. I think Nanowrimo can be both sides of the coin, and that's going to be something that I'm going to talk about in point number 4. But for this one is finding time during your day. So when I was in university, I myself could not do Nanowrimo. I tried one year and I think I got maybe 30K into it. November is final paper month, right? And there's no way that I was going to be able to squeeze in Nano and all of my papers at once. When it came to Nanowrimo in university, it just wasn't possible for me. And now I have now completed 2 Nanowrimos, I think. 2 proper, or maybe even 3. There have been a couple of like camp nanos that I've also won. I can't remember the exact number. I have been able to do it because I've made time for myself. It's easier because I have a job, one that doesn't bleed into the rest of my life, but it was also tricky because I am the kind of person who works also 2 jobs. 2 years ago, for example, when I was doing Nano properly with my teaching job and my full-time job, or like almost full-time job, I was squeezing in writing time whenever I could. So I would bring my computer with me everywhere I went. I would bring it to piano, and if I had a half hour between students, if someone doesn't show up, I would sprint for that half hour. And I find that like shortened writing times, when you have that pressure of like, this is the only time that I have to write today, I need to get this done, or like one of the only times that I have to write today, the words just spill out of you a little bit quicker. I don't know if that's just me and because I work well under pressure, but it's just sometimes just having those little bit of time, those little sprints, helps immensely. So it's about finding 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there of your day, or I know some people even wake up a little bit earlier, or like me, I would just stay up a little later to get my words in. It's okay if you don't finish by midnight. I know the Nanowrimo site like resets if you don't like update it by midnight, but it's for you yourself, not necessarily the Nano site. So you can write until 3 a.m. and consider it yesterday's words kind of a thing, right? Like it's up to you, it's your challenge. Another way that I really love writing, and this is good for productivity all around, is writing with other people through online sprints. So I've done them on my channel all year, pretty much this year on Saturdays, which I'm going to be continuing into November as well. I'm going to be hopefully every Saturday. And if I don't manage to get it done on a Saturday, I will probably move a sprint to a Friday night. If I'm going up to the cabin or something during November, I will keep sprints on my channel, but there are so many other people out there who have sprints. So all you can do is just type in Nanowrimo sprints, and there will be people who have lives or people who have previously done it. And even like old sprints help me out too, because it's just having that timed situation that's like short amount of time for work and then you get to take a little bit of a break helps so much for me, rather than sitting and being like, okay, I'm gonna write for the next 5 hours or something like that. Because having that really large chunk of time blocked out and you're like, oh God, I gotta write for 5 hours straight, it's never gonna happen. It's always better to work in shorter bursts of time with little breaks, to get up and move around, or to go get some food, or like stretch or drink some water, that kind of a thing. So that's tip number 3, is to find time, find a system that works for you during the day, find a little bit of time, I don't know, just bring things with you, and to see if you can find sprints online, because that to me is just encapsulating and making the best of your productivity. We're gonna get to number 4, which is do not be afraid to fail. And don't be afraid to break the rules for Nanowrimo. Yes, it is a 50,000 word in 30 days challenge, and that is a lot of work. It doesn't necessarily feel like that because you are writing about 1,600 words a day, which during the first week can honestly be like, oh, I've got this. You can change Nanowrimo to fit your own style. If you are a slower drafter, that's okay. Make Nanowrimo maybe a 20,000 word for the month goal. You don't necessarily have to write every day. As I was commenting on this video earlier, Nanowrimo, the goal of Nanowrimo is to, like their whole thing is to have a finished draft at the end of the month, 50,000 word finished draft, which in a lot of cases, like myself, 50,000 words is not enough for a draft, right? It's probably about 3/4 or half of a draft for a lot of things that I write. That's also so much work. And as I said before, it can be incredibly draining on your creativity to write every day, to pound out these massive word counts on the daily, and to write in such a concise, insane timeline. It can be so detrimental to your creativity because you can come out of that month and feel like you're never gonna be able to write again, or you're gonna need a month break, which do that. Take the month off, take December off of your writing. You're gonna need the break because your brain is gonna be so tired by the end of Nano. But yes, do not be afraid to fail, because this challenge is essentially, in my opinion, a really good way to set up writing habits. If you want to set up the habit of writing every day of the week, for example, and not writing on weekends, or just writing on weekends, or like trying to just fit writing into your already pretty busy schedule, it's a good way to see how sustainable that can be for yourself. Into that, there's always going to be a day or 2 or 5 or 10 or however many that you don't succeed to get your word count in. And that's okay. I have to keep telling myself that, because a lot of the times whenever I do these large challenges like this and I don't hit that word count every day, I get so down on myself. It's like, I'm just like, oh man, like I should be able to do this. Our brains need breaks. There are days when the writing is not going to be as easy as other days. Do not force it. Take that break you need. Your body's trying to tell you something. Your brain is trying to tell you something that you need a pause. Usually around day 15 is when my brain starts to stall and I need a break for a couple days. Or if you're particularly busy one day and you just cannot get the writing down, that's okay. Honestly, like the one thing that I do with every big writing challenge of mine is the first couple days are always super intense, awesome, words are just coming out of me days because I'm really excited to start, right? The momentum is there. Usually on those days, I like to create a buffer, is what I usually call it. And when I talk about it, I create a buffer of words. So I achieve above and beyond the word count so that I'm not falling behind on the days that I need to take a break, which is fine and something that you can do as well. But it's fine if you do not succeed, because any writing that you get done during this Nanowrimo situation is more writing than you had done before. And that's incredible. Whatever writing you were doing is bettering your craft. So do not be afraid to fail. Do not be afraid to break the rules and set your own rules for Nanowrimo. Treat it like a camp Nanowrimo, which are the NaNoWrimos during the year that you set your own rules and you set your own goals. Treat it like that. I am doing this on the other end of the spectrum. I am going to be writing a 70,000 word novel in 30 days again. I'm going to be trying to, at least, with book 2 in the Air Amount series of mine, which might be detrimental to myself because it wasn't in June, but now my mental health is a little bit worse than it was in the summer. So we're gonna see how it works, which is okay. And if I only hit 50,000 words like the normal goal, that'll be fine. Or if I hit only 40,000 words, that'll be fine. And if I totally fail and flunk out halfway through, that'll also be okay. As I said, any writing that you have done is more than you've had done before. And that's the best part of this challenge, is having, you know, this moment in time with so many people around the world. All of us are collectively coming together to write and create, and that is just exceptional. And tip number 5 ties into that. Guys, be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. It's okay to fail. It's okay to feel like this is too much work. It's okay to have those days where you're just like, man, I'm gonna totally not be able to do this challenge because I just can't write today. That's fine. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. This is something that is going to take rests. It's going to take days where you are not feeling up to par and you only get maybe 100 words down, 50 words down. That's fine. Be kind to yourself. You are doing something so incredible. You are trying to write a novel in 30 days. That's insanity, my friends. You are doing something amazing. You are trying something, maybe something new if you're doing NaNoWrimo for the first time, or if you're an old hat at Nano, you're still out there doing it. Like, no matter what you're doing, be kind to yourself, please. This challenge is a challenge for a reason. It's gonna take a lot out of you. Find those accountability buddies if you're feeling down during this challenge, or if you feel like halfway through you're just like, man, this is a total slog. Don't give up, because you can do it, but be kind to yourself, because it's okay to need to take a little bit of time. Not everybody's brain works on hyperspeed and has all the time in the world during the day to be able to get this challenge done. Sometimes you really truly only have 10 minutes of your day to be able to write anything, and that's okay. Use that 10 minutes to get what you can down, and you've done it. You've written today, and that's the best part. And if you need to take a day off, do it. Take the weekend off. Give your brain a break, because we don't need to go into this challenge and really detrimentally hurt ourselves. So yes, this is a marathon, not a sprint. It's a huge challenge. This is a lot of work coming to us, coming up in November. I really hope you guys enjoy your NaNoWrimo. I really do. That's the whole point of this challenge, or this whole event, I guess, is to enjoy yourself, to get writing down that you didn't have before, and to better your craft through the act of doing said craft. And perhaps if you want to set up habits, go for that as well. Set yourself some goals. Be proud of yourself no matter what you achieve, and NaNoWrimo is going to be great. That's how you set yourself up for success. My 5 tips, that's how you do it. That's how you do a successful NaNoWrimo. But yes, so this year, myself, for my projects of Nano, I'm going to be working on, as I said, Aramount Book 2, which is going to be covering a sapphic love story. It's gonna be set in autumn, which is very exciting. I'm not gonna reveal a whole lot about this because I kind of want to do like an actual reveal of things when the publishing process comes through. But that's what I'm gonna be working on. I am going to be doing a 70,000 word novel in 30 days challenge again, so I'm gonna be doing a little bit higher than Nano, as I did back in June, because I would really like to actually finish this draft this month. I don't remember how many words that was. I think it was 2,300 roughly a day. I have to do the math. That's my plan. I am, as I said, going to be hosting writing sprints fairly often this month, weekly at least, which is exciting. So definitely follow around for that. Hit subscribe. I will have different vlogs going up, maybe 1 or 2 at least, depending on how I want to split this month. If I want to do like I did back in June with like part 1 of my challenge and then part 2 of my challenge, kind of a thing going up later in December. Who knows what's going to happen, because Nanowrimo is a very fun time of year. Yes, my friends. I feel like I had something else to talk about, but I think I've covered all of my points. You guys have got this. We've all got this. Anyways, my friends, I will catch you in another video very soon. Let me know down below what you're going to be working on for Nano if you are at all participating, and if you have any other tips to share with other people to help them have a very successful Nanowrimo and to help me have a successful Nanowrimo. I wish you guys the best of luck in the last 10 days of October to get ready for Nano. Set yourself up for success. See you in the writing trenches as we get started on November 1st. Stay kind and keep on writing. That's how I usually end these videos. Bye guys.